Are you tired of feeling disrespected by the people around you? Do you find yourself constantly struggling to get the recognition or respect you deserve? Whether it's in your personal life, your career, or even within your own family. It's one of the most painful experiences we can go through to feel like no matter what we do, we're not being valued or heard. This feeling of being overlooked, dismissed, or undervalued can leave us frustrated, angry, and questioning our worth. But let me tell you something important: you don't have to let this be the story of your life. You don't have to sit idly by, tolerating disrespect and feeling helpless. The truth is, you are not alone, and more importantly, you have the power to change this dynamic. If you're ready to take control, to stop letting others dictate how you feel, and to step into your own power, then you're in the right place. In this script, I'm going to share with you actionable advice on how to handle people who don't respect you. I'll help you recognize your own strength, teach you to set boundaries, and give you the tools you need to reclaim your confidence. As we dive in, we'll explore practical steps that can help you turn around situations of disrespect. I'll show you the importance of understanding your own worth, how to handle negativity with grace, and how to assert yourself confidently, even in the most difficult situations. Let's look at key points that will empower you to rise above this issue. 1. How to identify the signs of disrespect and why it's harmful. 2. The impact of allowing disrespect to persist in your life. 3. A powerful mindset shift that can help you reclaim your power. 4. Practical strategies to set healthy boundaries and protect your peace. 5. How to stay strong in the face of challenges and stay motivated to change the situation. I know that dealing with disrespect can feel overwhelming, but I want you to know that you have the tools within you to not only face this challenge, but to overcome it with confidence and grace. Let's get started. Disrespect is something that most people will face at some point in their lives. Yet it's one of those challenges that is both deeply painful and, unfortunately, widespread. It can manifest in many different ways, from a rude colleague who constantly interrupts you in meetings, to a family member who belittles your aspirations, to a friend who constantly diminishes your achievements or disregards your boundaries. Disrespect isn't always obvious sometimes. It's subtle, and you might not even notice it until it starts taking a toll on your emotional health. Think about it for a moment. When you're talking to someone and they cut you off in the middle of your sentence, it feels like you've been ignored. Your thoughts are dismissed, as if your words have no value. Or maybe you've experienced a situation where you share a personal achievement, only to have the person in front of you downplay it with a snide remark or a mocking tone. How does that make you feel? Disheartened? Invalidated? The truth is, these small acts of disrespect accumulate over time and lead to a massive shift in how you view yourself and your worth. It might also show up in more direct ways. Someone crossing your boundaries, whether it's by demanding more of your time, invading your personal space, or ignoring the limits you've set in a relationship. When someone pushes past your boundaries, it's as though they're saying, "Your needs don't matter. What you feel doesn't matter." That kind of treatment can make you question whether you even deserve to have boundaries in the first place. What often makes disrespect so difficult to deal with is that, over time, it's easy to internalize it. At first, you might brush it off, thinking that the person didn't mean it or that you're overreacting. But if it happens repeatedly, it starts to wear on you. You begin to doubt yourself. You might think, "Am I being too sensitive? Should I just let this slide?" But the problem with ignoring or tolerating disrespect is that it can chip away at your confidence and self-esteem. What was once just a minor incident starts to build up into a bigger, more overwhelming sense of inadequacy. when your self-esteem begins to erode. It doesn't just affect your mental state. It impacts your emotions, relationships, and even your career. If you start believing that you don't deserve respect, you might stop speaking up for yourself. You might allow others to treat you poorly because you've convinced yourself that you're not worthy of better. And that's when things get dangerous, because disrespect, when left unchecked, becomes a cycle that's hard to break. That's why it's so important to recognize the signs of disrespect early on and take action to protect yourself. The longer you let it slide, the more entrenched it becomes, and the harder it will be to regain your confidence. But the good news is that it doesn't have to be this way. You have the power to change this dynamic. You don't have to let other people's disregard for you define who you are or how you feel. Reclaiming your worth and self-respect starts with understanding that you are the one who sets the tone. The way you allow others to treat you is often a reflection of how you treat yourself. If you tolerate disrespect, you're sending a message that you're willing to accept less than you deserve. But if you begin to recognize your own worth and assert yourself with confidence, you'll start to shift the power dynamic. Standing up for yourself is often misunderstood. Many people think that asserting themselves automatically means being aggressive, rude, or confrontational. However, nothing could be further from the truth. Standing up for yourself doesn't require raising your voice or belittling others. It's not about becoming combative or making a scene. It's about drawing a clear, firm line that says, "This is not acceptable," and refusing to let anyone cross it. When you assert yourself, you're taking control of your own boundaries. You're saying that you have the right to protect your own space, your emotions, and your well-being. And importantly, you're doing this in a way that maintains your dignity and self-respect. Setting boundaries is an act of self-care, not selfishness. It's about saying, "I am worthy of being treated with respect, and I will no longer tolerate anything less." It's not an attack on anyone else. It's a statement of your own value. One of the most powerful things you can do is to separate your worth from other people's behavior. When someone disrespects you, it has nothing to do with your value as a person. It's simply a reflection of their behavior, not a reflection of who you are. This is a crucial mindset shift that will help you stand your ground without feeling guilty or ashamed. Your sense of self-worth should come from within, not from how others treat you. Setting boundaries is about being clear, firm, and consistent in your communication. It's about saying no when something doesn't align with your values, your goals, or your peace of mind. This doesn't have to be a dramatic confrontation. It can be as simple as politely but firmly telling someone, "I'm not comfortable with that," or "I need space right now," or "That's not okay with me." But here's where many people get stuck: guilt. People often feel guilty for setting boundaries, especially if they fear that it will upset someone else. You might think, "What if they get mad?" Or, "What if I hurt their feelings?" The truth is, when you set a boundary, you're not responsible for how others feel about it. Your responsibility is to yourself, to protect your emotional and mental well-being. Boundaries are a form of self-respect, and you deserve to prioritize your own peace. If someone is upset because you've set a boundary, that's their issue to manage, not yours. The fear of guilt is rooted in the idea that by saying no or standing firm, you're somehow being selfish or unkind. But being kind to others doesn't mean ignoring your own needs. In fact, one of the best things you can do for others is to be clear about your limits. When you assert yourself in a respectful way, you're teaching others how to treat you. You're showing them that you deserve respect, and that if they want to have a healthy, respectful relationship with you, they need to honor your boundaries. Asserting yourself in this way doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you someone who values yourself enough to demand that others do the same. You are worthy of respect just like anyone else. And just like anyone else, you deserve to have your needs and boundaries respected. When you don't set boundaries or speak up for yourself, you risk allowing others to take advantage of you, which over time can lead to resentment and burnout. Think of it this way: boundaries are a form of self-love. They are an expression of your belief that you are deserving of good things, of respect, of kindness, of peace. And when you make that belief clear to others, you're giving them the opportunity to either respect you and treat you with dignity, or to show you that they aren't worthy of your time or energy. Either way, you win. By setting boundaries, you give yourself the space to grow, to thrive, and to preserve your peace of mind. In the end, standing up for yourself isn't about confrontation. It's about honoring yourself. It's about saying, "I deserve respect," and then making sure that's what you get. When you stand your ground with confidence, you create a space where your needs are taken seriously, and you send a message that you won't tolerate disrespect. You are worthy of that respect, just like anyone else, and it's time to claim it. But doing this is not always easy, and that's completely understandable. You might be afraid of confrontation or uncomfortable with expressing your needs. You might worry about how people will react if you start standing up for yourself. Will they push back? Will they be angry or upset? Will they think you're being unreasonable? These are valid concerns, and it's normal to feel apprehensive about standing up to those who have disrespected you. But here's the thing: if you never assert yourself, the disrespect will continue. By not taking action, you're allowing it to happen. The fear of confrontation might feel overwhelming, but the cost of allowing disrespect to persist is far worse. When you let others walk all over you, you diminish your own value in your own eyes. It's essential to realize that your feelings are valid, and you have every right to protect your peace. You have every right to assert your boundaries and to expect that others respect them. If you don't, then you're only allowing disrespect to continue, and that cycle will only grow stronger. And while it may be difficult at first, over time, standing up for yourself becomes easier, and the respect you get from others will reinforce your self-esteem. When you stand your ground and demand respect, you're not just protecting yourself in the moment, you're teaching others how to treat you. By consistently asserting yourself and setting boundaries, you're showing others that you will not tolerate disrespect. It's empowering, and once you get a taste of what it feels like to be respected, it becomes addicting. You'll never want to go back to tolerating disrespect. While the damage caused by disrespect can be significant, it's not permanent. It's not something that has to define you. If you take action now by setting boundaries, asserting your needs, and protecting your peace, you can begin to rebuild your confidence, restore your sense of self-worth, and reclaim your life. Remember, you deserve respect, and you don't have to settle for anything less. You have the power to change the way people treat you, and it starts by recognizing your own value. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I'm sure you've experienced that moment where someone dismisses your ideas or undermines your efforts. It might leave you feeling small, invisible, or even angry. In some cases, it can be subtle small comments or actions that slowly erode your sense of self. In other cases, it's blatant outright criticism or contempt that cuts deep. Either way, The problem is real, and it affects your mental and emotional well-being. Ignoring disrespect might seem like the easy or even the peaceful option in the moment. It's often tempting to brush things off, thinking that if you just let it go, the issue will resolve itself. After all, who wants to deal with confrontation or the discomfort of standing up for themselves? The problem with this approach, however, is that disrespect doesn't just disappear when you ignore it. It builds up, it accumulates, and the more you allow it to slide, the more it erodes your self-worth and overall well-being. At first, the disrespect might feel small or trivial. A sarcastic remark here, a dismissive comment there. You might tell yourself, "It's not a big deal," or "They didn't mean it that way." But when these moments occur repeatedly, they start to stack up, and you might not even realize the toll it's taking on you. Each time you let a moment of disrespect slide, it's like allowing a tiny crack to form in your foundation of self-worth. Over time, these cracks get bigger, and eventually, the foundation starts to crumble. For example, let's say you have a colleague who constantly interrupts you during meetings. The first time, you might laugh it off, thinking, "They're just excited." The second time, you might feel a little annoyed but say nothing, thinking, "It's not worth making a fuss." But the third time, the fourth, the fifth, by now, that small, seemingly insignificant behavior has turned into a pattern of disrespect, and each instance compounds the last. You might start feeling less and less confident in your own ideas, or begin to believe that what you have to say isn't important. Before long, you might even convince yourself that being interrupted is just part of how things are, that your thoughts don't matter, or that it's not worth speaking up. You start internalizing the belief that you're not deserving of being heard, and that's when the real damage begins. This accumulation of disrespect doesn't just affect how you feel about yourself. It impacts every aspect of your life, your mental health, your relationships, and even your career prospects. The longer you allow these small moments to build up, the more they eat away at your mental and emotional state. You might find yourself feeling anxious, unmotivated, or disconnected. What was once a minor annoyance starts to feel like a major weight on your shoulders. The energy you used to spend on pursuing your goals is now being drained by the emotional toll of tolerating disrespect. Furthermore, the impact of ignoring disrespect is not confined to your inner world. It also starts to show up in your interactions with others. You might become more passive in relationships, tolerating behaviors you would never accept if you valued yourself enough to set boundaries. You might find it harder to assert your needs or advocate for yourself in both personal and professional settings. Relationships, both personal and professional, thrive on mutual respect. If you allow disrespect to go unchecked, you risk damaging the very relationships you care about. Over time, people may begin to take your silence as agreement or consent, which only reinforces the cycle of disrespect. In the workplace, this pattern can be particularly damaging. If you repeatedly tolerate disrespect from colleagues or superiors, you risk being overlooked for opportunities, promotions, or projects. You might find yourself stuck in a cycle of feeling invisible or undervalued, even though you have the skills and potential to excel. Your career prospects can be stunted because, over time, people may start to take advantage of your passivity or lack of self-advocacy. But perhaps the most significant consequence of ignoring disrespect is the toll it takes on your sense of self-worth. When you continually tolerate behavior that undermines you, you start to internalize the idea that you don't deserve better. This is a dangerous mindset because it shifts the focus from the behavior of others to your own perceived inadequacy. You begin to believe that the disrespect is justified, or that it's somehow your fault. This self-doubt seeps into every part of your life, making it harder for you to believe in your abilities, your worth, and your right to be treated with dignity. And as a result, you might hold yourself back from pursuing the things you really want in life, whether it's in your career, relationships, or personal growth. The longer you allow disrespect to accumulate, the harder it becomes to break free from this cycle. It becomes ingrained in your interactions, and even though you may realize how damaging it is, it can feel almost impossible to confront or change. You might feel powerless, as if there's nothing you can do to stop the flow of disrespect. But the key here is to recognize that the damage doesn't have to be permanent. The first step in changing this pattern is awareness. The moment you realize that you are tolerating disrespect, you can begin to shift your mindset. You can start reclaiming your sense of self-worth and set the boundaries that protect you from further harm. You don't have to wait until the damage is irreversible. You have the power to stop the accumulation of disrespect now by recognizing it, addressing it, and asserting your right to be treated with dignity. Ignoring disrespect may feel easier in the moment, but in the long run, it only serves to reinforce the cycle of negativity. The longer you let it slide, the more you risk losing touch with your true self and your potential. But the good news is that you have the ability to change the narrative. By taking action, setting boundaries, and advocating for yourself, you can stop the accumulation of disrespect and begin to rebuild your confidence, your relationships, and your future. You deserve better, and it's time to start demanding it. Now, I know how easy it is to stay silent, to tell yourself that it's not a big deal or it's just the way they are. But the truth is, if you let this behavior slide, you're not just letting others disrespect you, you're disrespecting yourself. You're allowing a toxic pattern to persist that slowly erodes your self-worth. The longer you tolerate this behavior, the harder it will be to break free. That's why it's so important to address the issue head-on. I understand that confronting disrespect can be uncomfortable. You might worry about confrontation, about rocking the boat, or about what people will think of you. But let me assure you, you have the right to stand up for yourself. You have the right to demand respect, and more importantly, you have the power to do it without aggression or drama. So, how do we start turning this situation around? The first step is shifting your mindset. This is crucial because if you don't believe that you deserve respect, it's going to be difficult to expect it from others. The key is to understand your own worth. You are valuable, and your time, energy, and emotions deserve to be treated with care. Start by acknowledging your own worth. You don't need anyone else's approval to know that you are deserving of respect. Reflect on your accomplishments, your strengths, and your unique qualities. Remind yourself of what you bring to the table. This is the foundation that will give you the confidence to stand up for yourself when disrespect arises. The next step is to set boundaries. Boundaries are not just about saying no when you don't feel comfortable. They are about protecting your peace and well-being. When you set clear boundaries, you communicate to others what you are and aren't willing to tolerate. It's a powerful tool that helps you maintain control over your own life. One of the best ways to set boundaries is by being direct and clear. For example, if someone interrupts you, calmly say, "I'm not finished speaking yet. Please let me finish." If someone belittles your ideas, respond by saying, "I don't appreciate that comment. I'd like to continue discussing my thoughts. This doesn't have to be done with aggression, but it does need to be done firmly. Let's dive deeper into how you can handle situations where disrespect is present. There will be challenges as you work through these changes. Some people won't like it when you start asserting your boundaries. They may push back, question your behavior, or even try to guilt you into backing down. This can be tough, especially if you've been a people pleaser in the past. But you need to stand firm in your commitment to self-respect. Don't let others' reactions derail your progress. If you face resistance, remember that it's a reflection of their discomfort, not yours. You're simply showing them that you value yourself, and that's something they may not be used to seeing. Keep in mind that it's okay to take small steps. You don't have to make huge, dramatic changes overnight. Every time you stand up for yourself, no matter how small the action, you're sending a powerful message that you won't tolerate disrespect, and if you fall short or feel like you've let someone cross a boundary, that's okay too. Don't beat yourself up. Self-improvement is a process. Just learn from the experience and keep moving forward. Now, let's talk about real-life applications. I want to share with you some success stories of individuals who have successfully handled disrespect and transformed their lives. These stories are not about people who had it all figured out right away. They're about individuals who made small but powerful decisions to change how they were treated and, in turn, changed their lives. One individual I worked with was a woman named Lisa. Lisa had been in a toxic work environment for years, constantly belittled by her manager and ignored by her colleagues. She felt invisible and hopeless. But once she started practicing self-empowerment, setting boundaries, speaking up when disrespected, and not tolerating negative behavior, things began to change. She gained more confidence in her professional life and was soon offered a leadership role. Lisa's story is a reminder that when you stop accepting disrespect, you open up the door for new opportunities. Another example is Mark, a man who had struggled with his family's lack of support for his career. His relatives often belittled his dreams, telling him they were unrealistic. But instead of retreating and accepting their criticism, Mark stood his ground. He set clear boundaries with his family and began prioritizing his goals. Not only did his career take off, but his family also came to respect his choices. Mark's story proves that when you advocate for yourself, others will follow your lead. Maintaining momentum is key to long-term growth. Once you start standing up for yourself and setting boundaries, it's important to keep the energy going. Celebrate your small wins, whether it's a conversation where you stood firm or an opportunity where you protected your peace. These moments add up over time, and they help reinforce the habit of self-respect. Remember that self-improvement is a lifelong journey. Don't stop growing, even when you feel like you've made progress. There's always more to learn, more ways to improve, and more opportunities for growth. The key is to keep moving forward, even when things get tough. And don't forget to practice self-care. It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of success or change, but make sure you're taking care of yourself along the way. Balance is essential. Protect your mental health and make time for the things that bring you joy and peace. You've made it this far, which means you're already on the path to change. Now it's time to take action. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for others to change. Take charge of your life and start asserting your boundaries today. You are capable, you are valuable, and you deserve respect. The only thing standing in your way is the action you take. So take that first step now. Your future is waiting for you. It's your turn to reclaim your power.